Okay, so the trade deadline is Monday. Some of you think we're not being realistic. So here's realistic trade targets for Monday. This mini pod brought to you by Sunnyside. Use the code HICHGO. Now, I think anything's realistic.
Yeah.
Because the Brewers are struggling a little bit. The Cubs have an opportunity here. But some think, you know what? They're going to shop at the dollar store, not at Nordstrom. Give me something realistic, Joey.
So the most realistic one is I want a hot dog, I want a hamburger, I want a cheeseburger, I want a milkshake. All right, fine. If I got to play the game, I think the most realistic option right now is the Cubs dealing with a team that they just dealt with very recently and calling up the New York Mets and getting a deal done for a number of their pitchers. Now, it could be Freddy Peralta, it could be Clay Holmes, could be Brooks Raleigh, it could be Luke Weaver. But they've already had connections before, and I would just want to believe that maybe the New York Mets are also like, I want to keep dealing with the Cubs just one more time to see if I can get the lottery ticket to like balance the scales of the Pico Armstrong trade of several years ago. That seems like the most realistic one right now. Either that or the Angels, and then keep an eye on a name that we haven't talked about a whole lot, Emerson Hancock, the guy with a lot of control, 27 years old, right-hander, having a really good season. That seems like the realistic path right now.
Yeah, I don't want to be boring, but like my answer was the same it's been kind of the whole time is Freddy Peralta. I think from the Mets, I just think that Freddy Peralta is a rental. I think he is a former ace. Now, I know some people in our chats have been like, well, he's horrible this year. That's fine. I mean, like, I just think that the Mets are a horrible organization all the way through. And I think that Freddy Peralta, I've seen him with my own two eyes be really, really good. I've seen him in the playoffs be really, really good. And there's a lot of familiarity between him and Counsell, former Brewer, obviously. I think Freddy Peralta can and still will be an ace, and I think that he's kind of big game tested, if you will. And I think that him starting a playoff game or multiple playoff games for our Cubbies at Wrigley Field would be great. Maybe we can start chanting Freddie in a good way and let him feel that love from the Wrigley faithful versus being on the other side of the diamond.
One thing's for sure, the Mets defense stinks.
Yes, and
almost any pitcher that the Cubs would acquire would have a better defense behind him. Ask David Peterson.
Exactly.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So, all right, those are realistic, quote unquote, according to a lot of people. Let me know if this is realistic.
Okay.
If the report is true and the Rangers had scouts checking out the Cubs, is Jacob deGrom realistic?
So
that's a big contract they'd be taking off be taking off a team's hands.
Well, what's ironic about that, right, is that like all Cubs fans on the planet are like, we need a pitcher with control. He better have control. We better have control. But then you'd say Jacob deGrom, do they start backing away from that price? Because, it'd be $38 million next year. Look, Jacob deGrom has kind of slowed down a little bit as the season has gone on. But again, to your point, Roman, like when we talk about guys in October, you don't get that much better when he's on top of his game than Jacob deGrom. Another guy that I've liked for a very long time with the Rangers would be Nathan Eovaldi. Another guy that I think just kind of spits nails on the mound. He does have control for next year. He's a little bit older on the 36-year-old side, but deGrom's 38, so what are we talking about here? That'd be a little bit of a cheaper option, a guy with October experience, and a guy that I'd be comfortable with at least saying, here's the ball in game one, here's the ball in game two. They are a late entrant, but I will say also in the AL West, outside of the Angels, they're all still kind of in it. So that's going to be a bit of a tough sell, in my opinion.
Clay Holmes, Freddy Peralta, Eovaldi, does that excite you for game one going against The Miz or Yamamoto? See, now deGrom makes me think
your blood
different.
going?
That gets my blood going a little bit.
You don't think, though, like Freddy Peralta
he would improve
against the Brewers?
It would improve the rotation, no question about it.
I just feel like there's so much, like, he's been a central dude, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like him going against his old team, there's going to be some fire there, man. I don't know. Like, I know he's had a bad year, but I still feel like he is an ace when he's at his best, and I think he'd be a lot better in the pinstripes.
But I can hear the downers out there right now saying it's not realistic anyway, so stop. Okay, that was maybe that's borderline realistic. We know Detmers is realistic. Mm-hmm. Is Detmers from the Angels realistic? Yes. Is it going to get the job done with all lefties? There's some pretty good lefties you'd be facing.
Look what I'm wearing right now.
Lefty.
I knew you were going to go there, dude.
All right, Detmers is certainly realistic. Mm-hmm. Is one of the Royals pitchers realistic?
That's what's so weird.
Those are realistic, but I don't think they should be the bar that the Cubs are shopping at.
You don't hear anything about the Royals right now. Like, what are they doing?
That stopped completely.
They are done for the year. They're not going anywhere. Bobby Witt's currently on the IL. They're up the track. It ain't going to happen. I don't understand why they're not entertaining at least Seth Lugo or Michael Wacha. Would it make the Cubs better? Yeah, absolutely. But again, in the land of realistic world, like they could make it happen, but it's also, along the lines of Robbie Ray is another guy that people have talked about, a guy that's had really good years in the past. Do you trust Cubs fans, Robbie Ray's 2.24 ERA at home in that spacious ballpark and over a 4.0, like 4.5 ERA away from the friendly confines of what the San Francisco Giants play in, right? Like, is he that kind of guy? I don't know. These are all options that honestly, I don't know if Robbie Ray makes it a game one starter over maybe a Matthew Boyd. I think it's kind of equal. Michael Wacha, it's probably kind of equal.
Yeah.
Reed Detmers maybe is a game one over a Matthew Boyd or a David Peterson, maybe.
All right.
Maybe.
Yeah, I get
and I'm with you on Freddy Peralta, but Freddy Peralta would have to prove it. I do have the optimism and share that with you that I think he will be better if he was in a Cubs uniform or just anywhere outside of the New York City zip code.
Yes.
I do think that he'll be a little bit better, but yeah, those are the realistic options. I mean,
well, I got one more.
Yeah.
Is Gausman from Toronto realistic?
he's having a bad year, man.
Which makes him realistic.
You're right. He's having a really rough year. Got off to a great start this year, but the Cubs actually really started turning his season sideways. From that point on, he's had an ERA over 6. Now, again, another situation of a guy with a great pedigree, a guy who's entering a walk here, a guy who's pitched in big games before, and a guy who's currently in a bad situation, a.k.a. a team that has just had high expectations walking into the year, and they've completely flatlined, and they're not going anywhere. Gausman versus Peralta, who would you have more confidence in, basically, moving forward, that they could turn their season around, more or less?
I would say Freddy Peralta, like I've been saying the whole time. But I will tell you this, Luke, this podcast is realistic. I'd say the only unrealistic ones that the fans have been kind of talking about are Skubal, Miller, and Webb. Everybody else, explain to me why they're unrealistic. I think anybody we've named outside of those three absolutely is realistic. I mean, we got the prospects for it, and these guys aren't, I understand why Skubal might be unrealistic, Miller might be unrealistic, Webb, but like anybody else, we have the capital for that, and we're the Chicago Cubs. And any one of those guys, because they're a warm body that has had success in the past, would be an upgrade for us because we need arms, And don't forget, we have help coming back internally as well. You can never have enough arms. Any of those guys we mentioned would make us better.
Luke, Gausman versus Peralta. Gausman's owed $7 million the rest of the season. Freddy Peralta is only owed $2.5 million. That does change the calculus in terms of the quality of return that the Cubs are going to have to give, a.k.a. they're going to have to give more for Freddy Peralta. Where would you land if you could only open those two doors?
I think the Cubs would rather, this is just total speculation, I think the Cubs would rather give up less and get a little bit less back. Now, I don't believe in that. I believe this team's done amazing things banged up.
Yep.
If anybody gets healthy and you add this piece, you've got to take advantage of this opportunity. You're in the Cubs. You once gave away Gleyber Torres to go get Chapman.
And how'd it work out?
It worked out pretty well.
Exactly.
You've been bold. You've seen other teams make mistakes, but sometimes prospects are prospects. And I'm not saying give away all of them, but don't be afraid to make a big move.
Right.
Don't be afraid. If you're, as my friend Stacey King used to say, if you're scared, go buy a dog.
Well, I think Jed's already proven that he's not. He traded Owen Casey, you know what I'm saying, like for Cabrera. He traded Cam Smith for Tucker. So these were prospects that were like pretty well regarded, and he traded them away. We can discuss later if it worked, if it didn't work, but regardless, he's done it, right? So I don't see him shy to pull the trigger on the guys we have left if the right deal is in front of him.
The only thing about that is that I just don't want to see him make some sort of move that has nothing to do with the team that's on the field right now. The thing that I only would push back on with Cabrera is they did it because they liked the control and they liked the player and they wanted to see if they can unlock something as opposed to just spending $200 million on Dylan Cease, which they could have done. This is a similar situation of also, remember when they went out and got Cole Hamels? a guy who used to had this amazing pedigree, a little bit on the back end of his career, pitched really well for the Cubs.
He did.
But I'm just kind of pushing, and I'm hoping, and my expectation as a Cubs fan is, can they just push a little bit higher on that? Kind of forget some of the back end with the control and the money makes all sense. The main focus, the main priority is, how do we make this team as good as possible on August 1st when they play the Dodgers? That's all they really should worry about.
I'm
August
with you.
3rd, excuse
I'm not
me.
worried about 2032. I'm not telling you how to Cub. I'm just saying it's okay to have expectations and hopes bigger than realistic.